you have such a patient at home or anybody within such categories, how do you manage them? You can't keep them home because you want to treat them as prisoners. They have rights, but the difficulty is how to manage them. Fortunately, today on the morning update, Abena will be speaking to somebody who has an experience to share.
Yes.
And then more so, we also have the newspapers.
Yes. So we'll take the newspaper headlines, and as always, you will share the review of the newspapers, and also Wisdom would give us details of the headlines that we will be discussing. And I'm sure we'll leave you with some tidbits as well.
Of course, the tidbits are very, very important.
Yes.
Business, health, that's what really drives us. You want to stay healthy, you want to make money. Today on News Review, we'll be speaking to two editors. I'll tell you more about them when we come back after acknowledging our sponsors. X Natural Mineral Water. You can't afford not to make it part of any program you organize.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural. Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome back. Now this is the morning update on TVXYZ, and at this point we will be taking some of the newspaper headlines. My name is Nana Abena Sawa, and this program is brought to you by X Natural Mineral Water. Eric, I've said good morning. But it's like I like saying good morning to you every time I say it.
You can say it 10 times.
Yes.
Before we go into the newspapers, I'm sure you are monitoring what is trending. I think late yesterday, news went around that another witness has filed a statement in court as a witness in the ongoing case involving the challenging of the presidential the results.
Yes.
And this person is Rojo Metelnuno. Why it is quite significant is that you remember when Dr. Michael Pesa-White appeared before the court for the cross-examination. There was a point when they were asking why he left the EC strong room, and he said that they were instructed or they were asked to leave, and they said, did you speak to Jim Mensah or did Jim Mensah speak to you personally? He said no. That's the impression I got. And so we all know that there were two, Rojo Metelnuno and Dr. Michael Pesa-White. Now yesterday Rojo Metelnuno has filed his witness statement, and so whatever he's going to tell the court during the cross-examination will be very, very, very important.
Yes.
And many people are following proceedings. And today the court is resuming. And when we listen to lawyers on both sides, we got the impression that they are not too sure about how today's proceedings would look like.
Right.
And so we'll be following and we'll bring you live updates.
Hopefully he goes in a suit.
I understand.
Yes. Now we'll take the newspaper headlines. My first paper is the Daily Graphic.
Even before you start, I think the information we are picking is that, you know, when they met the last time, Chachu gave the hint that they would want to introduce another witness or some other witnesses. And then the bench were conversation with the lawyers of all sides. And then when they came back, they really didn't pronounce what will be the way forward. And so what we have picked is that Rojo is not well, and so the engagement with the lawyers will be behind closed doors, as they put it. But you start with your Daily Graphic.
So on the front page of the Daily Graphic, I think I have to show you this. Now it says nuisance, billboards clatter across streets, ceremonial routes not spared, and you can see it right there. It is an issue. I mean, Accra is beautiful, but sometimes these little things makes it look like, I don't want to say, I'm sorry. Also, it says that President Akufo-Addo re-elected ECOWAS chairman. Congratulations to our president. On the back page, it says that 30 Bupe Tamale Road crash victims have been discharged. So yesterday we heard of the accident on the Bupe Tamale Road where about 19 people lost their lives, and there's some good news. 30 people have been discharged from the hospital. So.
And then we are also told that those who are in critical condition, for now only 4. You know, initially they said 15.
Yes.
And they are saying 4, and the rest are doing well at the hospital. We can only pray for them and hope that the drivers will take cue and be very careful on the roads.
Yes. Also, I heard that about 4 people have not yet been identified, those that have been dead. So I think the advice to the public will be that henceforth, if you're going anywhere, kindly have an ID card in your bag. So in case of any emergency, we can identify you and trace you.
Yes, it's very important. Some people announce missing relatives.
Yes.
And several times the police hospital will say, we want to go and bury bodies we have received and kept in our mortuaries for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and when nobody turns up, they just go and dump them or mass burial. And I believe that it is because a lot of people don't carry their IDs, and I think it's a very good advice. Just take it and let's ensure that we are always moving around, knowing very well that in case of any emergency, somebody can be of help.
Yeah. On the front page of Ghanaian Times, there is also some good news for Ghanaians who are expecting vaccines. So it says here that Ghana receives 2.4 million doses end of February. Now it says that UN COVAX facility has confirmed this. So this is not just the government talking. It says here again that President Akufo-Addo gets ECOWAS chair second term. And the health analyst urges burying of used nose masks. So you'd see that a lot of people just throw their nose mask anywhere after they have used it. Please, let's try as much as possible to bury them, because we keep telling you not to touch the surface of your nose mask, meaning you never know what is on there. So just leaving it ajar is also going to spread the virus. Now we move to Chronicle. It says that armed robbers opened fire on woman in labor. This is a very disheartening story. A woman in labor was robbed. I mean, the ambulance was attacked.
Yesterday, when the news went around, I just wondered why anybody will attack an ambulance.
Yes.
Because ideally, robbers would want to attack passenger vehicles or people driving their own vehicles. But this is an ambulance on a highway. And any ambulance on a highway with a siren on would mean that they are carrying a sick person, and so you will not be getting money there, and you can only attack it and find a sick patient. So unfortunate that this woman in labor has gone through this.
Yes, I mean it's really sad. But on the lighter side, John Kuma advocates for legislation on crowdfunding in Ghana. Also, Akufo-Addo being commended again, and then it says that read the blow-by-blow account of today's election petition in Monday's issue of the Chronicle. So if you have been following the election petition and you want more details, you can get that from
Okay, so let me also do some newspapers. I will start with the Business and Financial Times. Business and Financial Times has on its front page unutilized gas menace to increase. Now, government already paying $700 million annually. And so this story comes with a picture of one of the actors involved in the industry. Now, market opens the year sustaining bullish surge. Now, Ghana Stock Exchange market report. And Ghana to get over 2.4 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines by second quarter of 2021. And then the back page, of course, is talking about the African Trade Agreement. It says, pass advertising bill, else after will take over industry. And Vodafone comes to the aid of motorcycle accident victim. The Herald newspaper is next. On the front page has pictures of the judges, and the banner headline here says, Supreme Court judges further damage Akufo-Addo's 2020 victory. So there you see it on your screen. So we have the Herald newspaper, Supreme Court judges further damage Akufo-Addo's 2020 victory. And there are some two other quick stories. It says Ochre Dako, and this is referring to Gabi Ochre Dako. It says Ochre Dako justifies military and police bodyguards for Jean Mensa. And then I move on to the Daily Post newspaper owned by Michael Dokosi. Michael, good morning. The front page here has the story. 15 MPs, 56 staff test positive for coronavirus so far. And so Rojo files witness statement in support of Mohammed's petition is also captured on the front page of the Daily Post newspaper, and Supreme Court displaying clear political bias towards a party. That is Dr. Kpesa White. He has appeared before the court already to go through the cross-examination. I think yesterday there was a Facebook post he put out, and he was virtually expressing disappointment, and that has been captured by the Daily Post newspaper. I'll move on to another paper. This one is the Daily Dispatch. The Daily Dispatch has on its front page, race for MPP national chairman. Who will Akufo-Addo support? That is how it appears on the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. And there you see the picture of the president, and I'm sure there are other faces there. And then how Atachia avoided being installed as Ochehene. That is also on the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. So Mr. Fred Owari, Mr. Stephen Intim, who contested for the Blade the last time and lost, Nana Komia, and one Edward Boateng, all these are potential candidates for the national chairman position of the NPP. Abna, you have one paper there.
Yes, I have the publisher, the Ghanaian publisher. Now, remember we spoke about the Speaker of Parliament coming out to say he would bring out certain names of members,
MPs,
yes, who have the infection, and those that are also dodging the test.
The test.
Yes. Now, it says here that Speaker, MPs at war. So apparently the MPs are not happy with the fact that he said he will be mentioning names. But do the right thing there. Me, I support that he brings the names out. Please don't come and beat me in my house. Also, Council of State election.
Yeah. You know, there was news that 15 have contracted COVID, but we are hearing that it's actually 25.
Right.
25 members of parliament.
Right.
It's quite serious.
It's a lot.
But fortunately, the speaker says that sitting will be on only Tuesdays and Thursdays because they have to manage COVID.
Which is not a bad
Well,
thing.
let's see how it goes. But the fact is, the disease is spreading fast.
Yes.
And you need to be very careful. Let me end with in the Inquisitor newspaper. The Inquisitor newspaper has on its front page, the big story has the picture of the former Minister for Environment, Professor Frimpong Boateng, and it says, Galamsey cartel in madness. And then we have the late Kojo Owusu Afriye, we have Eko Owusi and Charles Owusu. I don't know why these names are here, but I'm sure if you get a copy of the Inquisitor and you read the newspaper, you will get to understand why these pictures are accompanying the Inquisitor. No more cash, no more free cash, Galamsey cartel in madness. And then why Adan must embrace Electrochem. And then the back page obviously has a congratulatory message for Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh for his nomination. So that's what are in the papers on the front pages, the back page, and maybe center spread. We'll have conversation with two editors, the vice president of Primpag and the deputy editor of Daily Dispatch will join us later on the program for our newspaper review segment. And so don't go away. Remember that you can also send us your text messages. They will appear on the screen. I think 0556 999 999 0556 999 999. So send your messages, especially the conversation about autism, who will be talking about a child who went through that crisis. The break starts now.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo. Can I join you guys?
Yeah.
Always drink fresh, natural, mixed, mineral, water.
You still got it.
Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehin fapa na menya bosia, edia tre medjuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre, mi busia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yema mwakwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodo bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekoko bosia, susu account, and it does all savings account. Me bada chain savings account, and then the keka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 03422918696. Na won so wetu mi aka sɛ.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many or Accra.
Sure.
Check, auto checks, check, auto checks, check.
Emission, check,
auto checks. Alignment, check.
Brakes, check. Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks. Check.
Auto checks. Your safety, our priority.
Check. Auto checks.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
With the health tidbits, once it's time to sleep, clear your mind of everything so you can have good and quality sleep. Now, I'm sure some of the newspaper headlines we discussed may have piqued your interest, and as always, Wisdom is here to give us details of any of the stories that piqued your interest. Good morning, Wisdom.
Good morning, Nana Sewa.
You look dashing today. Stay in the Africa. See, I told you I wear African print today.
Yeah, so it's good.
I deliver on my promise.
Yeah, right.
What do you have for us this morning?
Well, so there's lots coming up this morning, especially the total disregard for the COVID-19 safety protocols. Yesterday, I visited the Central Business District, and I'll be telling you and be showing to you some visuals to, corroborate what we've been talking about. Also, there's a third witness in the ongoing 2020 petition who has filed a statement to support the petitioner, Rojo Metonunu. He's the man alleged to have been misled by the EC chair to leave the strong room before the declaration of the results. I'm sure you remember that. Yes, that issue came up during the Dr. Kpese White's cross-examination. People were like, so if it was Rojo that the EC chair spoke to, why not Rojo come and testify? Now Rojo is testifying. We'll see how that will pan out. And then you've been wondering why Madame Jean Mensah has heavy military protection. I'll be giving you details about that.
All right then. So Wisdom, take us away.
And many thanks for joining us. Now to a very disturbing story to begin the bulletin with. And 26 students, 3 teachers, all in one school at Kosombo International in the Esojaman district of the Eastern region have tested positive for COVID-19. If you come to Parliament, 50 MPs, 15 MPs and 56 parliamentary staff have also tested positive for COVID-19. It tells you the pandemic is spreading very fast, but authorities and people don't care, and authorities are simply sleeping. There is more in this report I found when I visited the Central Business District in Accra. Greater Accra is still leading the national chart of the COVID-19 case rise. And for traders, how are they adhering to the safety protocols? Because especially where I stand here, you don't see any hand sanitizer, you don't see Veronica bucket for persons coming to trade. And so let me get close to this woman who sells tomato. The safety protocols no COVID-19, then I will found.
Come see and share rose mask. And I'm
So you don't have, do you have sanitizer?
Yeah, I have sanitizer.
You have sanitizer?
Yeah.
So if somebody is come to buy, how do you do it?
You see, normally when somebody come to buy, when you tell him not to touch, he won't allow. He will tell you he want to choose what he wants. For me to sell, I will allow him.
So because of money, you allow people to touch at the expense of the safety protocols?
You know, not because of money. Because this one, if I not sell, let me say 2-3 days, it will get spoiled.
I wear nose mask. Just now, I remove it. That is why I did not put on the nose mask.
But you are supposed to wear it at all times.
I'll wear it.
When?
Just now, I'll wear it. I'll buy some and wear it.
It means you don't have it here.
I have it here. I just place it here. I can't find it again.
So you don't have it. If right now we are looking for it, we can't find it, it means you don't have it.
I'll buy a new one just now.
It is obvious that caution has been thrown to the wind. The presence of the police and the task force of the AMA are not on the grounds to ensure strict compliance to the safety protocols. The traders themselves and even pedestrians walking on the shoulders of the street, you don't see them, most of them, you don't see wearing the nose mask. When are we going to get this issue dealt with once and for all? There is still more education to be done from what we have gathered and what we have seen. For TVXYZ News, Wisdom Hedejime, Central Business District. And there is growing concern and evidence that Ghana may in the coming days have no bed for critically ill patients. According to a recent report, Ghana's ICU unit has reached 0.5 to 100,000 citizens. According to the researchers, Ghana has only 16 intensive care units operating in 9 hospitals nationwide. Of this, 13 are adult facilities and 3 are pediatric ICUs. Of the 149 ICU beds available, 113 are designed for adult and 36 pediatric. Again, there are only 8 internists practicing in the country. Dr. Dennis Botti, a medical director with the Health Net Swan Medical Center, who joined our breakfast show yesterday, was blunt.
If we know what is even coming, we better set up. Because I don't think it's going to get worse before it gets better. We are just at the beginning of this pandemic, experiencing this thing really in Ghana. Before COVID came, even with the normal hypertension and diabetes and these things and strokes we always had this thing of no bed and no bed and no bed. Mm-hmm. Now this is an infectious disease, and this particular one is even more infectious than what we had last year. Now we have a situation where people drive around, or people are driving around in Accra looking for a place there to have a little oxygen to survive the night, and they are not getting. There are private hospitals who have shut down services to the public just to do COVID. And these big private hospitals are even choked. And it's not like it's a joke. You go there and the place is choked. You go to the other government facilities, they are all choked. I remember a case where a guy in the private facility got the call that, okay, please, there's a bed at the public place, so bring this guy. They got in an ambulance, rushed, within 45 minutes, got there, and the COVID beds were choked again. So it's like they had to return back or go back to the private hospital to keep on oxygen to the following day before they got another private hospital which dealt with or deals only with COVID. So it's like somebody is standing waiting on the touchline for either somebody on the COVID bed to be discharged or die for them to get on. That is how bad the situation is.
And Dr. Dennis Botte is a medical director with the Health Net Swan Medical Center who spoke to my colleague Nana Abena Sewa. Meanwhile, Ghana is expected to take delivery of 2.4 million doses of coronavirus vaccines under the COVAX platform by June this year. Now, a third witness has filed his statement in support of the petitioner in the ongoing Supreme Court case challenging the 2020 presidential election results. Rojo Metel-Nunu, who was allegedly misled by the EC chair to leave the strong room before she declared the result, is expected to spill the beans, especially after revelations from the cross-examination of Dr. Kwesi White. Now, the court resumes sitting today, but both lawyers do not know what the direction will be.
At the usual press briefing after proceedings last Wednesday, both the NDC and MPP legal team could not tell whether EC Chair Jean Mensah will be cross-examined by Chachu Chikata today. Public interest on the case is centered on what Jean Mensah will tell the court and if the NDC legal team will be surprising her with documents to prove that none of the two main candidates, Nana Akufo-Addo and John Mahama, secured more than 50% of the vote.
So I did not enter the room with the council and the judges. We are not privy to that discussion and it's not for public consumption. That's why it was held in camera. You notice that when His Lordship, the Chief Justice, came and adjourned the case, he did not give any details. I do not have the details either. We have stated clearly what our case is, and it is based on the declaration of the EC. Based on the declaration of the EC, that no candidate got more than 50%. It's based on the fact that there have been so many corrections to that figure, which nobody knows the basis of. And that is why we say that the declaration is null and void. We have come fully prepared for this case. And in any case, the EC is supposed to be an impartial this whole election process. What do they have to hide? What prejudice will be occasioned to them if they produce the documents for us to see? None whatsoever. If you conducted your activities as EC chair, fairly, transparently, impartially, why will you not produce the documents for us to see? You all see what will happen on Friday. We still think we have a very strong case. We are very, very certain about the case we have before the court. Irrespective of the fact that our applications have been refused, we came to court prepared. We are ready to continue with the case and we will go through with the case till the very end.
Bench invite lead counsels into chambers and have a set of conversations with them. We were not in chambers, we were not privy to it. It was something that obviously they did not want to advertise in open court. I am sure that that has an influence on the adjournment and the directions for Friday, but we are not in a position to say because we are not in there. We'll look forward to whatever the Honorable Court will put out on Friday. So we are expecting, and if you look at the natural flow of this case, we're expecting the petitioner, because the law says he who alleges must prove. The petitioner has told us that he has 5 witnesses who will prove, among other things, that nobody got 50% and that we should go for a runoff. Not so. The petitioner has put 2 witnesses in the box who have been cross-examined. We are expecting that the petitioner ordinarily will call the other 3. The petitioner today brought an application which was filed just in the last 48 hours, which application is what has consumed our time. And our expectation is that the petitioner will either continue with the 3 other witnesses or inform the court that they intend to bring down their case at this point for the respondents to now also move whatever submissions that they may have. Intervening in these 2 is this new application that they brought, the chambers hearing, and the direction that we should come back on Friday. So we'll wait on Friday and hear what the court has to say.
Almost all applications by the NDC has been thrown out by unanimous decision. The latest was the request demanding the originals of all results declaration forms, but the NDC says that won't frustrate them because the petitioner John Mahama has a good case. The NPP, however, said the court's decision is justified because the onus lies on the NDC to provide evidence and not demand documents already in their possession.
Now, TVXYZ has been speaking to a cross-section of the public, most of whom seem to have already formed their opinion. Unlike the elite, many of them say they are moving on.
Mostly after work, I get to listen to the summaries of the day, and then whilst on my way home, I listen to it in the car. But I know because of the busy work schedules, we don't have time to be following it through television and the rest.
I read on my phone, but I don't listen to them.
Why?
No time.
Okay, I'm not following, not because I'm not concerned, because as a citizen it's my concern, but then I've been sort of busy, that's why I'm not following. But I believe there are very able media houses who let us know of the outcome, whatever it may be.
My motivation for following is that I really want justice. Looking at what transpired during the election, as a citizen and as a civilian who, went to exercise my franchise, leaving my family or taking my family out there, it's a risk because in the midst of COVID-19,
We'll do some other stories now, and President Akufo-Addo's cousin and founder of the Dankwa Institute, Gabi Asare Okyere Darko, has justified the heavy military deployment to guard Madam Jane Mensah, chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Mr. Darko blames the NDC for threatening the life of Mrs. Jane Mensah, contrary to critics who say she's running away from her own shadow.
Office, home and personal security have seen upscaling on several occasions, leading to social media commentary about the necessity for it. Prior to the 2020 elections, government critics condemned the deployment of armored cars and heavily armed security personnel at the residency of the EC chair, Jane Mensah. This has since been escalated after the disputed 2020 presidential elections. Madam Jane Mensah, her deputies are always followed by a convoy of heavily armed officers. Public interest shot up amidst curiosity on her first appearance at the Supreme Court, hearing the petition challenging her declared presidential results. Some have suggested her own deeds are haunting her, but a nephew of the president has justified the protection. Gabi Okyere Darko wrote, "This woman, the returning officer for the presidential election, has had her life threatened multiple times from all manner of corners, her character insulted, her integrity denigrated, and the threats to her life heightened to the highest dangerous point that any public servant should endure, for the security services to consider it appropriate to offer her the highest form of protection they could. Her security at home, office, and around her 24/7 is made up of a combination of soldiers and police," he noted. "I'm not sure she enjoys that security attention, and some of us have a problem with that." But security analyst Colonel retired Festus Abuaje disagrees.
It is not the role of the military, even when so mandated, to provide security to certain VVIPs. In the law, whether in practice or in the law, it is not the role of the military to drive civilians, not even ministers, maybe the head of state, maybe the vice. But especially in situations of emergencies, where there is maybe a civil war or there is a conflict, inter-ethnic conflict in a certain part of the country. But in the normal democratic environment that we find ourselves, the military are not bodyguards of parliamentarians, they are not bodyguards of ministers, and definitely they cannot be bodyguards of lawyers. And under the circumstance, the EC cannot even be protected by the military unless there is an executive order. And in the executive order, that prerogative is being used appropriately. It must be in a state of emergency. We are not in a state of emergency.
Let's move on to some other stories. And President Nana Akufo-Addo has been re-elected as the chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. His second endorsement was at the extraordinary session of heads of state last Tuesday via video conference. A communique issued said President Akufo-Addo is to oversee the implementation of institutional reforms relating to enhance financial management and internal control of the institutions. President Akufo-Addo was first appointed chair of the 15-member ECOWAS in September 2020 by the 57th ordinary session of the authority. He replaced President Mahamadou Issoufou of the Republic of Niger, who steered the activity of the authority for a year. Now, before we go, business executive and head of business operations at Finance House, DLX Finance, has advised government to ensure the budget statement to be presented in Parliament in March does not increase the financial burden on the public purse. Joe Jackson, who was contributing to discussions on the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, noted with concerns the penchant for populist policies and said in the wake of the pandemic, such policies must end.
Let no one ever be confused. The situation is dire. I'm not saying the situation is considerably manageable. No. The situation is dire. Why do I say the situation is dire? Our economy was already wobbling. And listen, let nobody be confused. Ghana is broke. And when I say Ghana is broke, it was broke before COVID. COVID just made things a lot worse. And matters, you see, it is not for nothing that the Minister of Finance a year ago said COVID is going to be the worst situation Ghana has faced since economic situation it has faced since independence.
Joe Jackson there. Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana has already indicated that economic recovery will be very long, indicating hard times ahead. And that'll be it for this morning's news in brief on the morning update. Anna?
Thank you for the morning update.
But you are talking about the shooting, about the ambulance issue. I think it's a very worrying trend.
Yes,
but
we will discuss that,
after
the break. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural. Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For our Kwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to Somenya or Accra.
Sure.
Check, auto checks, check, auto checks, check.
Emission, check.
Auto checks.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check. Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks. Check.
Auto Checks. Your safety, our priority.
Check. Auto checks.
It's a happy Friday, and I always say thank God it's Friday, me in my African world. Once again, if you are just joining the conversations, this is the morning update on TV XYZ. Now, we will be talking about autism and COVID-19, knowing that ASD patients easily get the infection, and when they get it, it is quite severe. Now, on the line, we have Madam Mary Amor-Kufuor, who is a social worker and also has a child who is autistic. Hello, madam. Good morning.
Good morning, my sister.
How are you doing?
God's grace is sufficient.
And we hope that you are keeping safe.
Yes, I'm doing my best.
Okay, so on the lighter side, before we get into the heavy subjects, how did this all start for you? Or how did it begin for you?
Okay, thank you very much. So my name is Mary Kufuor. I'm a parent of an 18-year-old girl with autism. So before Nanaya was born, I already have 2 boys. Growing up, everything was fine. You know, they walked at 1, they started talking at 2, and then at 4 years, we started school. Then I prayed to God to help, bless me with a baby girl. And indeed, I got pregnant again, and then I had Nanaya. She was talking all right. And then when she turned 2.5, getting to 3 years, we noticed something was not right. When I say something was not right, number one, we noticed that she wanted to play by herself. And then when we were talking to her, she hardly gives you eye contact or look at your face. We also noticed that she'll flap her arms and run in circles. Sometimes she'll cover her ears. And then when you call her, she doesn't respond to her name. So these were things that I noticed before she was 3. But what really got us worried was she started saying few words like mama, dada, meaning I want water. But those few words that she started, speaking, at 3 she stopped. So that really got us worried. But it never occurred to us that, it has anything to do with autism or a medical condition. So when that happened, our initial reaction was to go to the church and, seek the opinion and support of pastors. This happened for almost a year, and not, it was getting difficult and difficult. When I say it was getting difficult, because she was not communicating, she was not also sleeping well, we didn't know what she wanted, and then she started being very frustrated. And so around 4.5, somebody pointed to us that, what my daughter was exhibiting, they are signs of autism. That was my first time of hearing about the word. So to cut long story short, around 5 years, she was diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum. And autism, it's a neurodevelopmental disability that affects a child before the age of 3. And usually they have impairment or difficulty in 3 main areas: communication, social interaction, and the ability to make meaning of the world around them. So we got the diagnosis, and from 5 years up to 18, it has been a battle. it has been a battle.
Talking to Madam Mary Amoah Kufuor, a social worker and also a mother of an autistic child. Now, Madam Mary, you did mention some of the difficulties that you face, even just handling your daughter. With this in mind, how difficult or how easy is it to communicate the protocols, the COVID protocols to her?
It really has been very, very difficult. And I speak on behalf of other mothers like myself because I run a center that supports young adults with autism at Donipile to Cakes Africa Foundation. And it's been very difficult. Number one, our children thrive on routine. They need to know what to expect. They need to have a routine. So, for instance, this morning, if we're going to go out, I need to let Nanaya know, through pictures. That is one of the mediums through which I teach her, showing her pictures. So I need to let her know where we are going, how long we are going to stay there, what to expect. If I have to take her somewhere, as soon as we get down, I need to let her know where the washroom is so that in case she needs to use it, then at least she can let me know by pointing or holding me and pushing me to where, she wants an item. So she thrives on routine. And then we just woke up one day and then we were told, schools are not going to go back, we are not going to go again because of COVID. So that stop in routine suddenly really, really brought a huge problem to most of us as parents of children with autism because our children depend on therapists. And these are the caregivers that support us on a daily basis. So when Ya gets up in the morning, when I get her prepared, by 7:30 we are on the road to the center. When she gets there, she has a morning routine. We call it the exercise in the morning for her brain, which is about 30 minutes. Once she's done, then she goes for her visual schedule for the day, after which she goes to see her therapist to do her either speech therapy or occupational therapy or her activities for the day. At the time, we're working with her on self-help skills, helping her to be able to brush by herself, to be able to take her own bath, and we're teaching her some of these basic skills. And so when the COVID came, that was last year in March, and we were told not to go, she didn't understand why we were inside. Why were we not going out? And so she started crying. For the first time, my daughter broke 2 of the chairs in our dining room because she was very frustrated. She wanted to go out, and I didn't want to take chances. And to tell you the truth, for the past 10 months, I have practically been indoors. I can count the number of times I have come out. And in fact, personally, on my own mental health, I started having problems because, it was like my daily routine was cut off, and I had to practically support my daughter alone because I didn't know whether to invite the therapist to come to the house. What were they bringing? Now you need to see any potential person you meet, as carrying the virus. So I needed to quickly stand in as the person to provide the therapy for my daughter. Number one, because I wasn't the person doing this therapy, she didn't even want to take the instruction from me. Number two, I needed to have a timetable at home. Number three, I needed to design what kind of activities would suit her. Number four, she got very bored after the first 2 months. And so I started having negative behavior, and I couldn't cope. At a point in time, I personally was getting depressed. I had to really, speak to psychologists. I needed to speak to, some people on that field to be able to support me. It has not been easy at all. And I constantly get calls from parents. For instance, there was one particular parent who had just gotten a new job and had started. This parent has a child who is very hyperactive, and you can't just bring in any nanny without, and giving them some training on what to expect in taking care of this child. So even during the COVID, we had to get a staff to go to the center every day and just receive this child so the parent could go to work and then negotiate with the workplace that if she could close at 1 o'clock, 2 hours earlier, so she could pick the girl from the center and go back home. And we had to make this arrangement because the change was so sudden that she was not even prepared. It has not been easy on parents like myself.
Okay, Madam, thank you. 1 second, please. So it's 7:30, and usually we would have been taking the newspaper review, but because the conversation is getting more informative and educative, we will just a brief time, about 5 more minutes, and the newspaper review will start. Now, Madam, this is not to downplay your difficulties in taking care of your daughter and other autistic children that you are helping, but we assume that because you're a social worker, it will be a bit easier for you. What advice would you give to mothers or parents who have autistic children and are taking care of them by themselves without any form of professional experience?
That's very difficult. But once again, I think one of the things I would encourage parents at this moment is to stay very positive. You know, everywhere around us right now, on TV, radio, it's all COVID, death rate, and, you know, all these problems going around. Personally, for me, it has been very difficult because I keep imagining in my head, should the worst happen, you know, should my daughter catch COVID, how are the facilities? Are we even prepared for a child who is non-verbal and they need to isolate, you know, or quarantine? How are the health, you know, the facilities going to cope? That is, it's my worst nightmare. So it's going to be very difficult. But what I want to encourage other parents, number one, they need to be very positive. They need to keep on encouraging their children. There is something that we use called social stories. Social stories are stories that are being broken down in a form of pictures. There are a lot of these resources on the internet about COVID, about routine, about supporting your child at home. They can go on the website, you know, on Google and you know, just type in social stories, and then they look at one that is appropriate for their children. They can start by that. Number two, they need to take care of their own mental health. They need to stay strong and sane for their children. And that will mean that you need to look at your own mental health. Personally, I have started taking 30 minutes walk each day. I have started skipping. When I started, I could only skip 50. Now I'm able to skip 200 at a go. And I'm doing this just for my own health. You need to also eat well. Please eat organic, eat well, cook your own food, and make sure that you're not eating too much of the process, because you need to work on your own immune system. You are of no use to your child if you are sick. So you need to take care of yourself to be able to take care of your child. Now, the other thing I want to say is you can use this period to also really get to know your child. One thing that I've discovered, and I call it the blessing of COVID, you know, is that I never knew my child could do so well with sign language because she was not talking. I never considered sign language. But because we have been at home, I think one time I was cooking and, you know, I prepared a particular food for her. And when I gave her the food, she wasn't eating. So I kept saying, Nanaya, hurry up. Nanaya, hurry up. I think maybe I said it over 30 times when she was eating. Then another time when I went to the kitchen to prepare food, she came very close to me and then she started saying, Nanaya, hurry up. Nanaya, hurry up. So I was like, Then it just clicked that when I was feeding her the last time with that particular food, that was the word I was using. But when she was saying it, it never clicked to me that she wanted the particular food I gave her when I was saying the hurry up. So she quickly went to the kitchen and then brought the particular food item, to prepare that. It was only then that I could link and said, no, this child knows more than I could, think of. So I started using a few signs that I learned myself. And now she can sign water, she can sign eat, she can sign drink, she can sign bye-bye, and a few other signs. And I was so overwhelmed.
Madam, thank you. Thank you so much. This is not to catch you. I'm sorry we don't have a lot of time to talk more, but I'm sure we would bring you into the studios one time so we can talk extensively about this. Thank you so much for talking to us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And please stay safe. God bless us.
Definitely. God bless you too. Now, that was Madam Mary Kofor, a teacher, a social worker, and a mother of an autistic child. This is the morning update on TV XYZ. We're taking a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Not knowing how we'll get through this test, but holding on, making way for me. You made a way, you made a way. You bless my life so much, I'm so blessed tonight, yeah. And I don't know how, but you did it. You did it. Said I don't know how, but you found a way to do it, and I don't know how, but don't know how, said I don't know how, never know how, and I don't know why, you've been so good to me.
This morning update, and it's time for the newspaper review segment. I don't want to call it newspaper review. I just want to make it the issue-based discussions segment, because some of the time we may not be solely dependent on what has been published in the newspapers. I believe you joined the conversation between Abena and the social worker who shared experience managing an autistic child who got contracted with COVID-19. We've taken the advice, just around your home, look around your neighborhood. Somebody may be vulnerable. Share the experiences. Let's protect lives. This morning, I'll be doing the discussion segment again with one editor and a deputy editor. Deputy editor of the Daily Dispatch newspaper will be joining us shortly. Peter Nkrumah is one of our guests. And David Tamaklo, who is the managing editor of the WhatsApp News, which is an online news portal, and also the vice president of the private newspaper, that's Primpact, Private Newspapers Publishers Association of Ghana. David, welcome. Good morning.
Thank you, Harry.
I like your jacket.
Thank you. I like your Friday wear.
Oh, but looks good. This is made in Ghana. I'm promoting made in Ghana.
That's what we all need to promote. It just so happened that this morning.
I wish my size could be reduced. Then this jacket could be mine the next day.
Well, I think in this time of COVID, you need to start exercising towards it.
I think it's a good advice. This program is sponsored by X Natural Mineral Water. Make sure you show interest, share with people, make them aware that there are wholesale points across the country. All over the country, there are wholesale points. All you need to do is to follow our screens. The numbers will always be on the screens from time to time, and then you copy them, go them, buy them, and then start your business. So it's another business opportunity for you to sell X Natural Mineral Water, because I can tell you that it is moving very fast. People are showing interest, and all you do is to be part of us. Now, let's have a conversation now. We are looking at the newspapers. I want to just run you through a few of them. Inquisitor, the big story here, says no more free cash. Galamsey cartel in madness. Daily Dispatch on its front page says, race for MPP national chairman. Who will Akufo-Addo support? We have Fred Owari, Stephen Intim, Nana Komia, Edward Boateng, and the story comes with a picture of Nana Akufo-Addo. Herald newspaper on its front page talks about the election petition case We are aware that Rojo Metelnunu has filed a witness statement. Daily Post has Rojo Metelnunu's witness statement as one of its banner headlines. Another one talks about MPs. In fact, they say 15, but I'm picking information that 25 MPs have COVID, not 15 as reported. But this is information that's coming right now. 56 staff also have COVID. And then the Ghanaian Times on its front page, as Ghana receives 2.4 million doses of COVID vaccine by end of February. And then we have the publisher also talking about Speaker MPs at war, obviously about the recalcitrant MPs who have COVID and want to go to Parliament. David, welcome.
Thank you.
First of all, a lot of things have happened this week. And I believe that as an editor, even as you do your publications, you always have an interest in what should come out. I saw one of your posts, I think WhatsApp News, and the focus was on the on Cocoa Board. You remember there was an issue in Parliament. I'm sure in our conversation how it was published will pop up on the screen, so that those of us who have been receiving copies of your post can also see how they come. So there it is on your screen. Cocoa crisis looms as Cocoa Board goes broke after borrowing $1.9 billion. This is big news. $1.9 billion in the name of Ghana and poor cocoa farmers who have sustained the economy. This week, what are some of the picks you have?
Well, most definitely the election petition hearing is on top of news agenda this week, has been on top of news agenda this week. We've all been following how the Supreme Court and parties in the election petition hearing have been running around issues. Some very interesting issues have come up. Of particular interest is how the Supreme Court keep dismissing requisitions by the petitioner, and some suggesting biases and all that. We have all watched how one of the petitioner's witnesses, in the person of Dr. Pesah White, actually happened to dazzle the court. I mean, it took over social media. People were commenting on that, and that it was least expected of him. He made a few points. One major one was how the EC boss actually allegedly asked the two representatives of the petitioners at the strong room to deliver a message to the petitioner, and in their absence the EC boss declared the results, which is being contested now. So I mean, the election petition hearing, no doubt, is on top of the news. Of the news. Also, is this COVID, which everyone is worried about now. We have all been hearing the devastating nature of it. I mean, almost everyone knows somebody who has contracted the disease or has gone through some levels of the disease, and so we all trying to stay safe, particularly with the COVID thing. The other developments ongoing about the COVID as to how prepared we are as a country in the midst of the second wave, and the various institutions. I mean, we know our people are still going to school, and people are worried. Parents are worried, teachers are worried. The GMA had come up with press releases to point out a few issues that they are concerned about. So again, the COVID issue is also trending very much. So to me, these are the very major stories.
Okay,
so far.
In the course of the week, we also heard about a fatal accident that claimed 19 lives. We are told 4 are still in critical condition. I also remember another issue, which obviously will be of interest to the public, is the petitions received by the Appointments Committee of Parliament, because vetting obviously will start next week. What we don't know is how Parliament will be doing that, because the Speaker yesterday announced that some MPs have COVID and they'll be sitting on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so these are some of the issues that will be trending as we speak. This morning, I told you earlier that we'll be doing the conversation with two editors. Peter Nkrumah is the deputy editor of Daily Dispatch newspaper. He will be joining us later on this program. David Tamaklo is also the managing editor of WhatsApp News and the vice president of the Private Newspapers Publishers Association of Ghana. I don't know what is on your mind. Send your text messages to 020-866-7000, 020-866-7000, or 0556-999-999, 0556-999-999, or 020-866-7000. So I'll be engaging my guests now. David Tamaklo was talking to us briefly about what, in his own opinion, are some picks for the week. Peter Nyako, good morning.
Peter Nkrumah. Oh,
sorry, Peter Nkrumah.
So soon you have forgotten about
because
me.
Of your board head.
You know,
because of your board head. You know,
those days at Metro TV when
people are become confused.
Oh, Charlie. Long time. Good morning.
Yeah, you are a young man. Why are you bored? Because I am very old.
He's young and rich. My brother.
Because I'm
it's my president.
If you eat too much tilapia head, you become bored.
Oh. Board Headers Association who organize a demonstration against you.
I'm sure they eat too much tilapia. Welcome.
Thank you, my brother.
So much hair on his head.
Now, Peter, as by way of opening our conversation, and as editors, you have been following a lot of things happening around the country. Daily Dispatch has been doing a lot this week.
Yes.
What is your pick for this week?
Well, good morning once again to listeners and my vice president with small p. I think I agree with David on the issue of the courts. Let's commend the NDC for deciding to take the matter to court. You know, the other options would have plunged this country into a whole lot of problems. But I was a bit disappointed with the kind of issues that the NDC took to the court and the fallout that is coming out. You know, it is very good that NDC decided to go to court. It is in their interest that this case is resolved as quickly as possible so that they will know where the head is and where the tail is. Again, also as a country, we should be interested and be concerned about what is happening in court, to the extent that it has a whole lot of issues and impacts against this country. To the extent that if you are an investor, that if you want to invest in this country, and there is court disputes or election disputes happening in court, you will be a bit reluctant in coming to invest in this country. And so it is in the interest of every Ghanaian, it is in the interest of the petitioner and the NDC, it is in the interest of the president and the current administration that this case is resolved as quickly as possible. And I have been very happy about how things have gone so far, especially the posture of the judges. And quite clearly, you will see that the judges are on top of issues. I was a bit scandalized when the lead counsel for the petitioner sought to question the relevance or irrelevant, the relevance of a question posed to one of their witnesses, to the extent that he retorted that, the question to his best of mind wasn't relevant to the issues they've brought to court. You see, you take an issue to court, and it is your duty that you explain the issues you make to the judges. So if a judge is asking questions, sort of trying to solicit or get an understanding of your issues, so that they'll be able to prefer a good judgment or make a judgment, and you question the relevance of such a question, then I think there's a bit of a challenge. I was also expecting that the fact that we were made to believe that the NDC actually won the elections. I was expecting that at least.
But what the NDC has put before court is not that they have won an election. What they have put before court is that nobody won more than 50%. And so that is the context. The NDC, if you watch their rhetoric in the last few weeks, has not been saying that they won. They are saying that they gave an indication that based on the parliamentary results, and which has always reflected on all the elections we have had in this country, they were sure of winning.
And that is my disappointment. In fact, from what you have just narrated, it is the very core reason why I'm disappointed about the NDC's posture and the position they took to the court. Look, I have followed elections since 2004. Okay? It is possible, and in fact, it nearly happened in 2008, that Akufo-Addo could have won the presidential elections with having less members of parliament. Yes, but with having a lesser members of parliament. To the extent that it is also possible that you can win 2-3 regions in this country and win the national elections. Per the last elections.
So okay, are you suggesting that the NDC needn't have gone to court because they lost the election? Is that because that is the narration I get from what you are telling us now?
Yes. You see, initially, from all accounts, I mean, if you have time, I will go through my document and show to you, and I will demonstrate to you that they made us to believe that they have actually won the elections through press conferences. In fact, some of them even
were played in court.
Okay? And for that matter, as at that time when they were making those public statements that they have won the elections, I'm sure they had some documentation or some pink sheet or some basis. Okay? Now, you decide to go to court. Well, I cannot, or we cannot direct them as to the strategy they should adopt, how they should handle their case in court. In any case, even within the case, apart from challenging the declaration of the results, they have also made a case of pardon, or if you like, overvoting in some places. And indeed, if it is true, it casts some doubts about the elections. Okay? And so I was expecting that at least there will be some documentation or some proof, some pink sheet collation, okay, filed in court to say that, yes, these are our figures. Because almost all the political parties, they have carbonated copies of the pink sheets. Okay?
Regardless of EC's declaration of results severally, regardless of video evidence of returning officers being coerced to announce results rather than what we know should be the normal practice?
Yes, but you see, all those things will be sorted out in court very soon. Okay.
I'll come back to you. I just wanted to take some submission from David, because obviously after he has spoken, you go ahead. But if you are landing on this note, then I go to David and return. I don't mind. You can continue.
Yeah, that's fine. But you see, and so like I was saying, that I was expecting to see some documentation or at least some counter figures from them. Because if you remember, per the accounts of their third witness, Mr. Rojo Metununu, he is saying that he was misled, sort of, to sign some of the pink sheets that he signed in court. Okay, and I was shocked and scandalized to the extent that you've been sent to go and do a job. Okay, and then you go and play some sort of familiarity to the extent that you mean to say that you didn't counter check some of the pink sheets, the coalition sheets that were brought to your attention to sign. To the extent that Dr. Pesa White said that at some point, after they have signed the Ashanti region coalition sheet, that they were informed that per the data that they have at their strong room, it didn't tally with what they have signed. So at what point do you sign?
And most especially when you go into an election with all suspicions.
I tell you, my brother, I was shocked.
Now, let me take it to David. David, you have spoken at length. I will just leave it, and then what you can pick out from what he has just been sharing with us.
Hey, good morning, my brother. You see, ordinarily, I wouldn't have been very concerned about my brother's submission when it comes to election, because, you know, the Daily Dispatch is specialized with election reporting and all that. But I find some of the submissions of my brother quite inconsistent. Inconsistent because you heard him mention the issue of he being happy with the NDC going to court, and on the other hand, being disappointed with what they've gone to court with. And of course, he said that it is the better option to take for the peace of the country. I should say that, I mean, going to court is everyone's right. And before one goes to court, you would have had some mind as to what you are expecting from the court. And the courtroom is a place of questioning and, you know, eliciting of evidence to ascertain the truth of the matter, because one party says this, the other party says, yeah. The convergence, where we all decide on the truth and, you know, for justice to prevail is where we match all the things, because we don't know. The other party is making an allegation, this one is making an allegation. It is when the court elicits this evidence from them that it would be able to ascertain that this is the truth. So the NDC went to court, and then, I mean, that is one. I'm talking about the inconsistency. There's another bit my brother said, where he said that, I mean, because the country needs to move on fast and do, I mean, develop, the court, I mean, talking about contracts and all that, the court need to hurry up with the case.
No.
I think
what he said was that if the case is dealt with expeditiously,
it helps all of us.
It will help all of us, including the NDC, to position themselves, whether they are going into a runoff or rerun, or they are planning for 2024.
Okay, I think at the point, the petitioner's lead lawyer did mention the fact that you cannot sacrifice expeditious adjudication of cases to the justice that must be seen to have been done. So I don't want to take so much from that particular submission, but this is it. The judges are free to ask questions. The counsel is also free to ask questions if he doesn't, and he thinks that the question begs what the process is. I mean, it's a place of learning, a place of questioning. So I don't think he should have a problem with that, really. The issue of the NDC not to be seen as speaking for them, not presenting figures that tells what figures they have gotten or not. I also think that it depends on the case they have taken there. They are, for instance, asking that the court, their allegation is that no one got beyond 50%, which is constitutionally required a rate that anyone should get to become president. And they think that per the results announced by the EC, the processes the EC used to announce the result, there were illegalities, and for which reason they have come to court for the court to determine whether indeed there were illegalities or whether indeed anyone had crossed the 50%. And I think that's a simple issue. When you raise such allegation, the evidence you produce will be different from when you say that you have actually won the election. And he said that the NDC all through had been claiming to have won the election. Of course, we've seen press conferences, which is not different from what we see in all the press conferences that happen during elections. The NDC, the MPP, other political parties have all held press conferences to say, you know, sometimes it's just a gimmick to push their followers to, you know, to a certain direction. But again, we are journalists. We have observed a lot of things, what went on. There are processes laid down for election, the election processes, which lead to the declaration. Of course, my brother would not.
I'm sure as you continue to make your point, you've tried to disagree or agree with aspects of his submission. The question is, there's a case in court. There's a limit we have as far as discussion is concerned. As we speak today, there's a third witness in court, and he has raised concerns about the witness's own statement, which is now in the public domain, which raises questions about actions that may go against or for the NDC in the ongoing case.
Well, for me, reading the third witness's statement, I don't see anything different from what the second witness had done in the last sitting. I don't know. Sometimes they enter the box when the questions start coming. They may make other revelations, following up to the questions asked them. But reading what is in that statement, I don't see anything so different from what the second witness has said. White. And the more, perhaps annoying is what he said, that the witness who was to represent the petitioner for a particular purpose, and a purpose as important as being the one to authenticate the figures, saying that he was asked by the EC boss to go and see the petitioner. But
so let's leave it to how the cross-examination will be like. Now, briefly on the same subject so that we can move on to some other topics.
Yes, I agree with you that some of the pertinent issues of the case in court are issues that we cannot sit here and discuss. Because I am told, and I've seen, my brother has read law before, that the EC's decision to announce the results is by convention. It's not legal. In fact, what the CI talks about is the Gazette. Okay? And per the CI, the EC is only supposed to supposed to gazette the results, and perhaps may decide to just the CI 49, okay, as required, the EC is supposed to gazette under regulations, blah blah blah, and in addition to the publication in the Gazette, published in the radio, television, the web, that is the announcement. Okay, so as to whether they made a mistake in announcing the figures, as to whether the figures contradicts what the NDC and the petitioner, what they have, as to whether what they announced actually puts the president above 50% will be determined by the court. I'm not saying.
How is the court going to determine this?
But they will look at the figures that have been sent.
So
they will look at
we
it.
should expect that the court will allow recollation of all the figures. Is that what you are saying?
Not necessarily.
No, because apart from that, how will the court sit and say that? Okay,
Eric, I think he made some point, which is very important, which we all need to clear, that the gazetting and the convention of the announcement being conventional.
Yes,
I think that election is a process, and announcement, whether it's a convention or not, to some extent they will tell you convention is part of law, but whether it's convention or not, it's a part of the process leading to the gazetting of the result. We know that the AC has gazetted the result.
So let's allow him to make his submission.
Okay,
and then
I'm not a lawyer. Okay, and so some of these things, I'm sure the court will give direction and give clarity to all those issues. But the point that I'm making is that the NDC as a party should be worried about the posture and how their leaders conducted themselves, moving on, and some people who were given position to actually act.
Especially the witnesses in court now.
My brother, they should be very worried. And in fact, I don't know how to say this, but you see, Roger Metinunu, when I've read his witness statement, and I see some inconsistency and contradiction from his accounts to that of Dr. Pesa White. You know, he granted a radio interview after the incident at the press conference where President Mahama
I remember very well.
And his account, if you have listened to that tape, he said that at a point they were calling the EC commissioner and she was not picking.
And it is in the witness statement.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You remember?
Yes, but that
when Dr. Pesawai came to court, he said their phones were off. And Roger Martinu said it was on the way that they were told that the EC was announcing.
What I read in the statement.
No, that is different from the account.
Allow him to make his point.
That's different from the account he himself made through the press conference.
Okay.
Okay? And the video is available. The account he gave, and in an interview during the press conference, he said it was on their way that they were told that the woman was announcing the results. But in his witness statement, that's different.
What is in the witness statement?
In the witness statement, he is saying that it was there, okay, was with President Mahama that they saw that the woman was announcing.
Now, in law, what is different from on my way, because the import is that they were not present.
Credibility
in the
when
room.
you are narrating an issue, okay, and you give two different accounts of an issue, your credibility becomes.
What is the import of the concern they have raised? I think the import is that they were not present when the results were being announced.
Yes,
so you can't use that against the person by saying that, okay, because you said you were on your way and at one point you said you were there, then it means that I will even look into what the law says that before the declaration, all parties must be there. Sign the document
the law,
and then go through.
No. It is not so.
Okay.
You see, non-signing of the declaration form doesn't invalidate the results, and that is also documented. Okay. The EC, okay, has no right to direct an agent to move out from the coalition center or the polling station. At best, maybe he himself said that he's worked with her before, so he trusted her so much, and so he decided to take her word by her word. Okay, but the EC has no right, or the agents. Nobody can direct you to move while the process is ongoing. Okay,
and most especially a personality like Rojo or
very experienced. Rojo was there in 2008 when you watch the video. He knows. You see, but I am not saying cannot make mistakes. In fact, per the records, at every elections, the Electoral Commission recruits temporary staff to assist them. And the kind of training that they give them, okay, sometimes it's not enough to equip them to be as effective as they should be at the polling station and at the collation center. In 2012, they recruited at least 140 temporary staff to assist them. Their staff strength is not to us to work,
facilitate the operations
very, very well. So they usually recruit returning officers, deputy returning officers, presiding officers. They recruit verification officers, polling assistants, and then key people to assist them in their work. In 2016 too, they recruited as many as.
So what has this got to do with the case now?
I am saying that those staff, temporary staff, remember even in the last elections, some of them were even sacked for
breaching
the regulations and many other things. Okay, so it is possible that there may be one or two mistakes or infractions or irregularities.
Okay,
but
so
the key point is
that's 1 minute wrap up, and then we'll move on to another topic. I'll come to you briefly for just a
but the key point is that those irregularities or those infractions, do they have material effects on the overall outcome of the elections? That's the most important thing. As to whether an error happened in one way or the other, we will definitely get at all times.
Okay, so Peter Nkoma is the deputy news editor for the Daily Dispatch newspaper. He has raised some very interesting questions. And if you are a Ghanaian interested in the election petition case, I believe that the issues he has raised should be of interest to you, and most especially to hear the witnesses during cross-examination. He has also said that, look, the NDC has a key responsibility that must also be brought to bear as far as the proceedings are concerned. David, you listen to him, and he has raised some exciting comments. I believe that you may want to speak briefly to some of them if you have any reaction. Otherwise, we'll move on to another topic.
Peter has been unfair to the witness when he said that he's been inconsistent. When he said just because he said he was on his way, and per his assertion that there was another interview that he said he had got. No, when he said that he was in the statement that he was with the petitioner, and in an interview he alleged that he said he was on his way. I think where he ought to have been was the EC. So if he was on his way, until he returns to the place, he was still on his way. So he's been unfair to him if he said that.
Oh, okay.
He used that to attack his. So yeah, but beyond that, I think that this is not the first election petition we have had.
Yes.
We have had one in 2012, and that led to certain reforms. This certainly will lead to a reform and a decision that will either go in favor of the NDC or the MPP. I think that we are still in the process of the trial, and we cannot actually impugn anything as to what the end game is going to be. When it's done, we know definitely that there are going to be certain reforms, either recommended by the court or by the political parties themselves. They would be able to ascertain where they have gone wrong. What
just said. Okay. He's also been unfair to me to have said that my initial comment, where I commended the NDC for going to court, was inconsistent, and for that matter, I shouldn't have said that, especially when I said they have gone to court, and then I also took issues with the position that they have taken. Look, in fact, this court will make the supporters of the party be very vigilant and alert, especially when they are giving positions to certain people to occupy.
All right.
My final point on the issue I raised about the CI,
yes,
whether an agent or signing or non-signing of the coalition sheet or the pink sheet changes or invalidates the results. The CI 127, as amended, says that per the 48.2, that the non-attendance of the candidates, so even the candidate, for example, or the polling agent or counting agent of the candidate, normally they appoint to polling and then the counting agent, at the time and place of the EC Act shall not invalidate the results.
You see, you are making a reference to a CI with the assumption that the EC stands alone and can decide to mess up. And wait, let me make a point, and I'll take the question to you to respond, and assume that there's an ally and therefore you can run with it. It has never happened, and no country in this world will entertain a constitutional body which runs an election, declares a result, changes it, continues to change it, goes to court with different numbers, and then you come and tell me that there's a clause which says that whether you are there or not, you can go ahead. That CI is there, and my understanding is that it is possible that people will go to collation centers and deliberately decide not to sign collation forms.
Yeah.
And that is what the CI seeks to protect. And so the impression you are creating by making reference to it is only presupposing that, yes, the EC has a right that is backed by a constitution, and therefore it can go ahead and announce a result as many times as possible. You sit here, this is common sense.
Yes,
you cannot run an examination and announce a result, go and change it, and even what you present before court is a different figure. Who on earth will accept this?
No,
I'm putting the question to
my
you.
brother, calm down. You see, you are mixing the issues.
I'm not mixing the issue.
You are. No,
so
let me
your response will determine whether I'm mixing the issue.
I hope you are not seeking to try this whole matter here. There is
yes, about going there. You see, the issue you raised about changing the result, changing the results, like he said, is in court. It will be settled. Okay, as to whether the results were actually changed, or the figures were actually changed, or there was a mistake in announcing the valid vote counts, or A or B or whatever, that one will be settled. The issue of agents, in fact, when you read the 2013 election petition,
the ruling,
Atuguba even elevates them to a certain level, okay, to the extent that they are given some special powers maybe after I will look for the actual design. I will quote for listeners to appreciate the role that the agents are supposed to play. You also raised a very key point that some agents, for some mischievous reasons, will also want to deliberately decide to not to sign, so as to have an idea that it will invalidate.
And that is where the CI actually
is to cure.
Sure.
Okay, that is different from the EC deciding to change the results. It is very wrong, and we all stand against it. It has nothing to do with the role the agents are supposed to play.
Okay, so I assume that your comment will be last, and then we'll move on. There were some reliefs that were sought, which were thrown out. That okay, because EC has announced several results, it will be appropriate that the one they finally dependent on should be made available so that notes can be compared. And the court says that, look, you have all the documents. Now, with reference to the argument he's raising and what played out in court, what would you say looks like the way forward, especially that we are yet to hear Rojo and the EC chair in the witness box?
I think it should be the interest of all of us that our elections are devoid of any suspicion, and that at the end of every election, the results are, every party agree to the result, even though there might be some few things here and there. So when you have a situation where figures have been, like he said, at a point you said it was a mistake, at a point he said figures
were not, whether the figures were changed or whatever will be.
We have been writing. We've written with different figures, and I also saw that in the statement, the response by the EC, there was another figure in there, different from what was announced and all that. Of course, if what he said earlier is anything to go by, the Gazette is where that is the result that must be shown. So if what is in the Gazette is different from what the EC indicated in their response, then that is the issue for the lawyers to look at, the petitioner lawyers to look at again, and because the Gazette is what the Constitution requires. Of course, the CI also mentioned it. So the Gazette is the thing. It's not what they even presented before the court.
Eric, you see,
unfortunately, let's move on.
The court issue is the major issue.
Yes.
You see, so I'm not. We can spend at least some 10 more minutes to discuss. That's the major.
There are equally interesting topics that we can look at. But I want to be fair to you. But if you can do that in 30 seconds, otherwise I will veto it.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Because you see,
I'm behaving like a bad man who has already taken a decision.
Because you see, I was going to say that, you see, the changing of results. Do you know that the actual election result that was announced by the Charlotte Osei-led EC is different from what was gazetted? Do you know that?
I know.
And you know why? It is because, as at the time, they were expecting some figures from somewhere. And of course, it didn't have material effect on the outcome.
I think it will play out in court. So let's look at it.
It is not strange. Okay?
That is justification for...
all those
I
issues...
see it as justification for the changing of results. From what you are saying.
As for the changing of results.
But let's move on.
Okay.
Peter Ankuma is the deputy editor of Daily Dispatch newspaper. David Tamaklo is the managing editor of WhatsApp News and also the vice president of the Private Newspapers Publishers Association of Ghana. I want to acknowledge our sponsors. I'll be mentioning where you can go for bulk purchases, but I'm sure you know that the body needs about 60% of water, and all you have to do is to replenish your body by drinking a lot of water. Now, water will make you healthy, and of course you would also want to look for where to get the right packaged water to buy, and I can recommend X Natural Mineral Water. For those who want it in bulk, you can contact the following numbers: 0596 273 546 0596 273 546 or 0596 273 547. So all you have to do is to go for X Natural Mineral Water for a healthy mind and a healthy body. X Natural Mineral Water, simply natural. All you have to do is to go for it. I like this particular bottle. Very, very, very exciting, and kids will love it. Dump it in their bags. They go to school, but I prefer you give them 2 or 3. It's well packaged. It will make them get attracted to the bottles. There are also the longer ones you can find out. And I can tell you that if you want to do business in this, you will not regret, because it is flying very fast. And all you have to do is to open a small shop, go for it at the wholesale shops, and then begin your business. Peter Ankuma is the deputy editor of Daily Dispatch newspaper. David Tamaklo is also an editor, and they are joining us for a conversation. We spent time talking about the election petition case. The latest is also the fact that a third witness is likely to be in the box today. On the screen is a number you can send your views to: 0556 999 999. 0556 999 999. Send us your views. If you disagree with any of us, as far as our submissions are concerned, send them, and then we shall read them for you. You can equally send them to 020-8667-1000. Now, I was asking David, what are your picks for the day? And then I think the commentary was on one of the picks David put out, which was the election petition case. Sure. This week, beyond the election petition, all of us are following. What else is your pick?
I also agree with him on the issue of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It is a worrying issue that has confronted this country. And to the extent that it has affected almost everything. The economy, our activities in and out. And surprisingly, the new wave is sort of, there has been a rise.
It's spreading fast, actually.
I tell you.
I think Ghana is among 3 countries in Africa where the World Health Organization is worried about.
Yes, you see. But this is a new normal. We have to find a way to live with it. And so I don't want to blame people, but the political leadership, okay, the posture, initially before the elections, the way they handled issues, and getting close to the election itself, the way they went about things. And just after the elections, the posture is quite problematic. Because even Parliament, okay, the lawmakers who are supposed to make laws for all of us to follow or abide with, are actually even flouting some of the rules and the protocols. That it has to take the speaker to announce that he will have to disclose the names of those who are flouting the rules. And I was shocked. He should have done that. Well, I'm told reliably that the marshals have been informed to ensure that all those who have been identified or who have gotten the COVID should not step foot to the chamber and by extension even to their offices.
Is that enough?
What should we do? Because these are issues that
the reason
affect
why
individuals.
I'm asking if it is enough is that we have a difficulty encouraging or enforcing this across the country. Ordinary people perhaps don't care or are not scared until they see a uniformed officer coming around. In South Africa, there is good case where a state official was sanctioned by the president for breaking the COVID-19 protocols.
In fact, a minister of state even lost his position.
And here we are in a country where members of parliament break the law, and then we allow them to go scot-free, and then the poor person on the street is fined or caged because of the same thing.
Well, it's not fair. But you see, our testing abilities is also a problem. In this case, I am told that, and the results actually sort of delayed. And so they actually came to the chamber the next day. And it was after a couple of days that they were called to be informed that, oh, they actually have a COVID and so they should isolate. And so there's a problem, a huge challenge as to our testing abilities. It's also a contributing
So David, he has raised some interesting points. COVID, it's here with us. We understand 15 MPs. We are children in Accra have it. Just Accra, as I said, there's an international school in the Sojaman area, which also reported about 16 students and 3 teachers. And then we have heard that in the Ashanti region, about 19 or so children, some of them have died. So the reality is that it is spreading. Here we are. The Bank of Ghana has made us aware that we are going to have serious difficulties because the economy is shrinking and the recovery rate will take a long time.
Sorry, but when it comes to COVID management, it's on autopilot. The government, all other stakeholders have managed this COVID situation abysmally. Look, and I'm surprised that the president has appointed the same minister in charge of health. He has really unwell for that position. Look, he has failed, and every other steps we have taken in terms of managing this COVID is a failure. Sorry to say. He mentioned the issue of testing. When this whole thing started, we are told that at any time that someone tested positive or even has the symptoms, there ought to be tracing, contact tracing. Have we asked ourselves how many tracing is going on as we speak now? So that a parliamentarian has gone to take a test and had to come back to Parliament, oblivious of the fact that he has the disease. He probably is spreading it. And then 2-3 days later, the results comes and they say, go and sit at home. Who else has it? Who made that parliamentarian? So we've managed to put everyone at risk. And that is what I'm saying, that when it comes to management of COVID, the managers have failed. And as I sit here, I have prepared myself that, look, the way this thing is, we try to observe the protocol as much as we can. You can't really monitor what happens in the school, when you are not there.
But we all hear new normal.
People sit in cars and go, new normal.
We all hear new normal. So what else can managers do?
Well,
from last year, January, February, March, through to the end of the year, you have heard people are dying. Big men who have money, who can afford all the bills, are dying. And you, the poor man, you don't have nothing. You don't have money. You can't afford bills. They say we're responsibility.
Yes, of course, we must all accept responsibility. But there's a reason why we have people who manage these things. If you go to other countries, how they are managing it, it's different from what we are doing here. Look, I was surprised when my little daughter at 4 was able to read the protocols of COVID to me, verbatim, without any reading from anywhere, because he watched a robot did same at a particular airport, somewhere outside Ghana. So the issue is even the publicity about what we should do and what we shouldn't do. It's not going on. I mean, apart from the private, the radio stations and TV stations, mention it out of their own. What is NCC doing?
Let me share with you what Rwanda is doing, and this was issued only yesterday. And this came from the Rwandan president. And what they are doing over the next few days in Rwanda to prevent the spread is to curtail the movement of people. And they are saying between 7 p.m. and 4 a.m. movement stopped. They are talking about private businesses which are supposed to resume with essential staff. And then they are talking about all schools closed, public and private. They are talking about movement between Kigali and other provinces. So obviously Kigali, the capital, has the biggest numbers, like Accra has the biggest numbers. So it's almost like a partial lockdown. And they are talking about public and private transport, which will resume within Kigali, and then the capacity should not exceed more than 50% on board. And it goes on and talks about attendance, which are related to some of the protocols we have put in place.
Rwanda is a good example. They are doing great with, sensitization about the disease, and all that must be done to make sure that it's brought down to the barest minimum. We are not doing that here. We are not.
Eric, you see, I disagree with my brother when he says that we have failed as a nation in the management of the pandemic. And he mentions the fact that other countries are doing well. And luckily, you cited the Rwanda experience or the example. Look, check the so-called foreign nations that he's talking about. Most of them are on lockdown. Are you saying that UK is not managing their COVID well? Germany is not managing their COVID well? Italy? Even
Are
US?
you suggesting that our lesser numbers is because we are managing it well?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying that, yes, at some point through the chain, we made mistakes, especially close to the elections. Okay? And this one, it's not one political party. Okay? Almost all the political parties flouted the COVID protocol.
Now, so if somebody is at the helm of affairs who must ensure that protocols are respected, and then at a point in time we hear the president himself saying that some regions in this country are COVID-free. When the Ghana Health Service sits down, Ghana Medical Association sits down, and then we see mass discharge of patients in custody, and then they tell us along the line that we are stopping the how do you put it, the contact tracing or scaling it down. These are aspects of management of COVID.
No, you see, when you say that the Ghana Health Service sits down, Ghana Medical Association sits down, and they witness mass discharge of patients, you are creating an impression that they were not sort of healed, and some coalition or something to have allowed those mass discharge.
Now, let me tell you the psychology of such things. When you are managing crisis, and in this case health, and then pronouncements suggest that we are winning the fight, and then we hear announcements of so many people coming, to the extent that we saw numbers drastically dropping towards the election.
So even if they raises the suspicion, they should still be
it raises the suspicion, because there are antecedents that suggest that prior to the elections, some activities or actions suggested that we are creating the space to allow the election to be held, and then beyond that we go back. And things that have played out is giving that impression that yes, the elections are over, the elections didn't contribute to COVID, and immediately after the swearing in, COVID is back and everything is getting out of control. That is the summary of the picture from last year to now.
Yes, well, that's your opinion though. But the point is that I agree that at some point in down, we let our guard down. And so it is important that we go back to our
drawing board.
Yes, to see how we can sort of manage these things very, 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 very well. But you see, our attitude, you mentioned in your earlier submission, check the beaches, restaurants, and the pubs.
Lorry stations.
Even when they said it was closed, people were still going. So it is important that as media men also, we also
lead the
campaign and encourage the people to at least respect the protocols and do what is right. This thing has no respect of person. It can affect anybody. In fact, we have even heard that Parliament has now decided that they are going to sit, I think, Tuesdays and Thursdays or Fridays.
I think I heard Tuesdays or Thursdays, but we can verify later.
You see, and it's going to affect government business.
Now, let me read a few text messages, and then we just conclude on this and move to other issues. The MPs who the nominees for ministerial appointments know themselves. We've had petitions here and there. The Appointments Committee of Parliament has set out the timetable and those who are supposed to appear. But unfortunately, they are going to sit on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We want to find out how things are likely to look like. There are other exciting stories. I saw in the Daily Dispatch a series they have started on MPP's future. That is post Akufo-Addo. And names that are popping up are Bawumia, Alan Kyerematen. I don't know whether they are the only two or perhaps there are other people who have an interest. I know there are other people who have an interest. The Daily Dispatch is talking about the chairmanship of the NPP, and some interesting names are coming out. We'll be looking at that, but these text messages are very crisp. This one says, people were shot and killed during the registration of voters during the voting, and we are also aware of Ayawaso West Wuogon, evil activities and lawlessness. May I know the sort of device the so-called Council of State offered to the state? Does the state even need the Council of State at all? That is Asanko. This one says, I suggest we should chain all the MPs who have tested positive for coronavirus to their beds in their various homes so that they can't come out and endanger others with their disease. Also, the whole parliament needs to shut down and face contact tracing. We need to quarantine all the side chicks too. I'm interested in this. we need to quarantine all their side chicks because their side chicks also have relationships. May healing be the portion. From Ablade, Efiekuma Zongo, Takrady. This one says from DJ Omanle in NYUC in Goso, COVID-19 is real, so let's follow the safety protocols. And now Ghanaians and the NDC members have seen Mahama lies and propaganda petition has fallen flat, and nothing will come out of this. So Twaso Nana Akufo-Addo, never again NDC. Regards to Honorable Martina J. Mensah Kosa, MPP MP Techiman South, and our original MPP organizer Michael Osei Boateng Aka Pope. This text message says it's coming from OPK, and I think it's the same text message I read. I think the two of them may have decided to piece it together. From Otunfo, the convener of Crossfire Ghana, this issue of COVID is beyond redemption. Eric, I think if MPs who have tested positive are receiving to isolate, I think it is in the public interest that their identity is revealed. This issue is a national security issue, and I think we should applaud the speaker. Let me do one more. And this one talks about, it says, TVXYZ, Wizard TV. We are so grateful. I went up. 1 second. Thank you, TVXYZ, Wizard TV. I think you have done so much by creating this platform, and we believe that many people will follow and join this conversation. From I think Mustafa Abdil from Bolga. I think these are the ones I'll read for now. We'll be taking a break. When we come back, I think we'll move on to the vetting issue and some other exciting topics, including what the Daily Dispatch has published.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys? Yeah.
Always drink fresh, natural, mix, mineral, water.
still got it. Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome back. This is the morning update on TVXYZ. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can also follow us on Wazor TV on Facebook and YouTube. All you have to do is to subscribe. This program is sponsored by X Natural Mineral Water. Send your text messages to 0556 999 999. A lot of the messages are in. Nana Buna will be joining us at the tail end of this discussion to share the messages that are pouring in on 0556 999 999. We'll try to run through three interesting topics. The WhatsApp newspaper has been talking about Cocoa Board, which has gone for so much money, $1.9 billion. Billion dollars, and they are broke. LBCs have not been paid, and the issue was raised in Parliament. And Afenyo Makin disagreed with Kofi Adams. The Daily Dispatch also looks at MPP's preparation towards 2024. Who succeeds Nana Akufo-Addo? They've been talking about Bawumia, Lanchamantin. We know there are other names there. Even chairmanship today was the banner headline on the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. And then we know that next week Parliament is expected to start vetting of ministers of state. So if you don't mind, let's do some quick touch on the vetting. Maybe one brief comment, then we can look at what your papers have published. Let me start with you.
Yes, with the vetting, I look forward to a very interesting vetting. I mean, no doubt about it. In the past, the numbers has always been an odd number, where you have more of the incumbent having their members of parliament as members of the vetting committee. But this time, it is a balance. It is balanced. 13-13. And so it is going to be interesting if any of the ministers is not well prepared and has any cobwebs, corruption, and any other thing, that very person will be very embarrassed. And you see, but I've looked at the standing orders and then the constitution. There's no way that if any group of people wants to play mischief, to deliberately also do things against any minister, it will fly.
I don't understand. What does it mean?
What I'm saying is that the committee at best is to only recommend to the parliament, okay, for a consideration whether they have issues with a minister designate or not. And I'm saying that I've looked at the standing orders. If any group of people wants to play mischief, okay, for political gains or whatever, that group will not succeed.
Okay, because it's brief comments we are passing, let me push it to you as a question. Now, Parliament itself has 137 members each. At the committee level, 13 members each. He raises issue with reference to the standing orders that if there's an agenda to target any of the nominees, it won't wash. Does it suggest that if the committee as a whole so decides that in deciding to approve or otherwise they reject, the president can still go ahead and say that I have chosen, and regardless of what I've done, I'm moving on? That is the impression I get from what he said.
The point is that Parliament must vet the nominee of the president and okay the person before the person becomes a minister. So I am not very concerned with what happens where the committee rejects the person and whether it goes to the floor
and they need only 50%.
So I'm not very concerned with what happens there. But I know this vetting process is going to be very interesting because of, one, the numbers. Secondly, the fact that they are nominees of a government that is seeking, is in this second term. Most of these appointees or nominees are people who have served almost the same position they have served in earlier in the last 4 years. And we've seen some perform very abysmally. And I mean, the public, I mean, if you all follow how the election went, some losing their seats and all that, it
but
is
those
very...
who lost their seats are not part of the...
No, I'm saying that some of ministers and so losing their seats and all that, it's quite interesting. I mean, we can all expect that it's not going to be an easy ride for any of the appointees who have served in the last government.
Just as he said.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, but you see, when they recommend to Parliament, the law is that the person just need 50% of those present. Okay? So at every point in time, if there are 200 members of parliament,
it's 50%. That is why, that is why the question I put to him, to paraphrase it, said, at the committee level, 1313.
Yes.
At Parliament as a whole, 137, 137.
No, it's not 137, 137. It's 138, 137. There are 275 members of Parliament.
No.
It's 138, 137.
You must understand that, you see, we are also educating the public.
Yes.
You must understand that if Parliament sits,
yes,
you have 137, you have 137.
Yes.
And then we have one person who has decided to do business with the other side.
Yes.
Whether on the day of voting, whoever will sit in the chair, we don't know. So on the face of the discussion, you can say that you have 137, 137.
Yeah, and you need only 137 on that day.
On the day of taking a decision on this, whoever will sit in the chair is not known.
It's not known.
Yeah, so to run with 138, 137, for me, so
agreed. And even on the day, whoever will need only one. I think it's tight. You need only the 137 to go through.
I mean, we are even conjecturing because this COVID
thing, it is also possible that
people may not even come to Parliament.
Yeah, it is possible. Yes.
We have barely 6 minutes because I need 5 minutes for my text messages. We have 6 minutes to chew what you have published. Let's start with yours. And I'm sure we shall put it on the screen for people to know what the story is about. Now, WhatsApp newspaper has been doing a series of publications. And what today he chose to table as part of his contribution for our discussion as editors is the publication on COCOBOD. We know that just 2 days ago, the MP for Buem raised concerns about the non-payment of licensed buying companies, which were supposed to be also buying beans from cocoa farmers. So, says the cocoa farmers are indebted or poor, or many of their beans are getting rotten. And WhatsApp News is paraphrasing it in a publication that COCOBOD is virtually broke, in spite of the $1.9 billion they have borrowed for this business. Can you throw more light on it?
Well, I mean, your time is very short. So there are very serious issues at COCOBOD. We talked about the $1.9 billion borrowed. That is comprises the $1.3 billion syndicated loan, and then another $600 million from AFDB. I understand the $600 million is for rehabilitation, whatever it is. You recall that last year when it came to Parliament for passage of for that money, there was controversy as to the itemization of what goes into the $600 million. So that's on one side. Then we have $1.3 billion, which is to be used to purchase cocoa. And the way it works is that the COCOBOD takes syndicated loans. It goes to the market. The LBCs, local buyers, buy from the farmers and send it to COCOBOD, and COCOBOD then pay for these purchases. What is turning out is that the buyers actually buy the cocoa beans, send to COCOBOD, but COCOBOD is unable to pay. And the question being raised is, where is the $1.3 billion raised for this purpose?
Okay. So the COCOBOD CEO has been invited by Parliament. Let's assume that when he goes to Parliament, the clarity with the concerns raised will be addressed. David, unfortunately, we cannot go much into your story. Daily Dispatch, why are you so much interested in MPP?
It is not us, because
we are the last week till now, it's like the focus is on MPP and their future.
Yes, it is because right after the elections, some leading members of the party decided to form campaign teams and started making overtures to some media houses and some people. So we picked those signals. We made some contact with some people, and in fact, I can tell you that people are even prepared to launch their campaign by June. When the court issue, when the court issue is over. And so we have made it public that Boakye Jakun, former energy minister, is interested. Kofi Konadu Apreku is also interested. Joe Gate, the former minister of railways, is also interested. In fact, he has made it even public.
His interest, sorry.
Okay? And we are also saying that Mr. Alan Trematin and Vice President Bawumia are also interested.
Okay, so that is how he wants to whet your appetite. We don't have much time. We have to read text messages. So that's how I want to thank my guest. David Tamaklu is the managing editor of the WhatsApp newspaper. And then Peter Nkuma is the deputy editor of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Ben Efson's baby here with us. And he has made a lot of interesting references that has educated us and also provoked the debate on this table. David has also joined us with a lot of experience, vice president of Private Newspapers Publishers Association of Ghana, who has an interest in any scandal that touches our public purse. That's how I want to say thank you. It's a Friday.
Yes.
Let's meet tonight and have fun.
Hey, we've covered.
No problem. We can have fun in my house. We'll be taking a break. When we come back, Abena will join us to read some text messages that are in.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa na menya bosia, edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre, miye bosia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yamamwa kwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hye ahodo bi te se dwadifo abosia, ekoko bosia, susu account, and it does all savings account. Me bada chain savings account, and the akeka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 03422918696. Na won so wetu mi aka se.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome back. It has been an interesting conversation from COVID to the court petition to who will be taking over the NPP party. Now, let's go into our text messages. Now, this one says, good morning. You see, from Kona, NPP would never let Bawumia come to lead their party because he is a Muslim. NPP do not respect Northerners. Now, also, Eric is saying, good morning to you and your guest. Please, we need to also focus on the allegations of bribery at the airport, because if bribes are offered to change results from positive to negative, how then can we manage the case in the country? I strongly believe that the spike of the virus is as a result of mismanagement at the borders. Another one here is saying that Okay, yeah. So from Otunfo, the convener of Crossfire Ghana, says Parliament should not be pressured, especially the NDC side. I trust they will do what is right for Mother Ghana. This is not an NDC issue. Please scrutinize them well, because some people do not fit to be ministers. Also, how many more should we take?
Just take one more and then let's wrap up.
All right, so this one says, hello, Mr. Eric. Thanks a million for providing us with this platform. We are tired of watching certain one-sided TV stations. Now, that is all we can take for now. Our time is up. But please keep letting your comments come through, and we'll definitely make time to read all of them. My name is Nana Abnasawa, and this has been the Morning Update on TV XYZ, brought to you by X Natural Mineral Water. I did this with...
I am Eric. Keep taking X Natural Mineral Water. Bye for now. Enjoy your weekend.